Are you ready to hoist the colors? Now, time for the most in-depth look at the world of ECU athletics. Welcome in to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Now, here's your host, Stephen Igo.
All right, welcome into Hoist the Colors. It is Monday. Happy St. Patty's Day to all who partake. We're in our green. Philip Pilkington behind the glass, wearing his ugly Boston Celtics shirt. But hey, he did his job wearing green.
It's the only green shirt I think I have right now.
I'll be honest. I look terrible in green, but I guess this is the one day you got to wear it. Without my wife, I wouldn't be wearing it because I wouldn't have remembered. So shout out to her. Philip Pilkington behind the glass. Later in the show, we'll have the return of Joey Football. Sources indicate he may be standing by already bursting through the seams, but we'll try to hold off till next segment to get him on. But excited to have Joey Football back on a Monday. We'll talk some baseball, of course. ECU with a 5-0 week. The NCAA tournament bracket's out. So looking forward to discussing that. Looking forward to talking about Justin Fields, the new future of New York Jets football. Gosh, that's weird to say, speaking of an ugly shade of green. We'll discuss that as well. We're live on Facebook and YouTube. If you got a question, a comment, a concern, drop it there. Over the course of the next hour, we'll get to it. ECU is not in the field of 68. Were you surprised, Philip, that the Pirates didn't get an at-large bid?
Not as surprised as Cliff was. He seemed a little disappointed on Twitter. Yeah, I mean, I was still wanting, Tennessee to be a 2, ECU to be a 15, Mike Schwartz revenge game. Didn't happen. It was tough. The committee had no respect for the American Athletic Conference, and they only put one team in. And, North Texas is a good team. UAB is a good team. Pirates are a good team. And they only put the stupid kitty cats in from Memphis.
Yeah, one bid league for the American, which is not ideal. We'll get into that over our discussion. We'll get into the NCAA tournament as well, but we're going to first look back at the ECU basketball season and just give some overarching thoughts here as, look, when we left you Friday, we weren't sure if we would come back Monday and maybe we would be talking about ECU to the NCAA tournament for the first time in more than 20 years, but we're not. We are talking about the first ECU winning season since 2012-13, 19 wins. Pirates for the third consecutive year under Coach Schwartz win a conference tournament game for the third consecutive year, also here and see their season come to an end in the quarterfinals via a double-digit loss to a higher seed. So I asked Coach Schwartz about that after the game. He kind of said the next step, or alluded to the next step for this program, is find a way to get into that top 4. We saw all 4 top teams in the conference advance to the semifinals. Then Memphis ends up beating UAB, the team ECU lost to in the conference championship. And we kind of hinted at it, Philip. I didn't think it was going to be as big of a deal as it was, but UAB was out for revenge in that Friday quarterfinal game. Yaxel Lindeborg just destroyed ECU, and it was a disappointing loss, but I still think a successful season overall. We gave out our grades on Friday if ECU lost. I think me and you were both at, a B for the grades for the
B.
season?
I kind of hinter between B and B minus.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's right. Like the strength of schedule was weak. We discussed that. But, I mean, when you're building a program, you've got to start somewhere. And I don't think people realize, how hard it is to just come in and turn the culture of winning. And I get it. Look, R.J. Felton's gone. C.J. Walker's gone. You're going to have to rebuild this thing. But, you have to learn how to win as a program, and that sounds stupid. But for a team and an ECU basketball team that has had, 4 winning seasons in the last 50 years coming into this season, you have to start somewhere, and I hope this is the start of something bigger.
I hope it is, too. The tough thing is, like you said, there's going to be a lot of guys gone, which makes it a little weird, but I still think you can establish that culture. You can keep some of your guys. But you go back just a few years ago, and you go back to preseason women's basketball media day when Kim McNeil said the out-of-conference schedule was easy because the team needed to learn how to win. Well, that team learned how to win in the fall, and they won a conference championship in the spring. Now, obviously, that's a really quick you don't do that every day, get picked to finish last and come back and do it. But it's all about laying those foundation, laying the bricks. Let's look at ECU baseball. Obviously Cliff has inherited things, by other coaches inherited things, but just go back to Coach O. Man, he didn't snap his fingers and all of a sudden we were a winning program. Coach O had to lay that foundation. It took Mike Houston a while to get there, and it's no different here. They've established the culture that, hey, we can finish top out of the conference. We can make noise in the conference tournament. We know who we are. We're a defensive first team who dives after loose balls, who's blue collar, who's tough, who's gritty, who does not quit when they get down. And if you can keep guys like Jay Shane Woodard and Travion LeBeau, it will be much easier next year to build off the success that happened this year. Obviously, you're going to have to go get some star power, but those guys are glue guys in this organization. And when you talk about building a team, you talk about glue guys. Glue guys have to be there because they are the bricks. They are the foundation that builds the house, and you got two of them right there. I really hope we can keep those guys.
And the other thing is, too, like when guys come into the program now, even if they're new to the team, which there will be a lot of new players for next season, they're going to be joining a team that, as they look at last year's schedule, like, all right, this team had 19 wins last year. They're not going to say, all right, the Pirates are coming off 10 straight losing years like they are, 500 or worse years like they were going into this season. Like, you kind of enter a program as a player, and I get it's all about money these days, but if the program you're entering has no tradition and no recent success, I imagine you kind of come in and you're like, all right, I'm here to get mine, and then I'll move on. Like, there's got to be a source of pride and tradition within the program, and you have to start that. Like baseball, ECU baseball has always won, so there's always high expectations there. ECU football has had its ups and downs, but has had extreme highs, and so you have expectations. ECU basketball has never had legitimate expectations year in and year out, and I feel like that is a true detriment to the culture of the program. So, like, now we finally have a winning season to say, all right, this can be done at ECU. Yes, it was against a weaker schedule. Yes, the conference was down, but you can do it at ECU. You can win at ECU. We saw it this year. Now, how much further can that increase? Is it going to be like the CIT year where Lebo had a good season and then it went down? Now we're going to see with Mike Schwartz how he can keep this thing going with more roster upheaval. So really looking forward to seeing what lies ahead, and a lot of that will depend on NIL and revenue share money, which we'll get into throughout the coming weeks. But overall, I think it was a success. Third year of Mike Schwartz. I don't think you can call it anything other than that. And yes, could there have been more? Absolutely. There's still some disappointing aspects of the season, absolutely. But it was a step for the program, and now it is up to the administration and the coaching staff to continue to find a way to make sure that it doesn't go down after taking a step forward. All right, we got some comments here in the chat. Chuck says, does Jordan Riley have an extra year of eligibility? If so, what are our chances of retaining him? So this is a great question, Chuck. Jordan Riley does have an extra year of eligibility. This is certainly a key to the offseason. Jordan Riley was making some good NIL money per my sources. I would assume ECU offers him some good NIL money or rev share money, whatever direction they go with this thing for next season. I'm kind of torn, Philip, because Jordan Riley is a phenomenal player, but he's not a shooter. He's not really like a guy that creates. He's like your hustle defensive specialist, dunker, slasher type. And so, like, if Jordan Riley is demanding a ton of money that's going to break your budget, this is like from a GM perspective, I'm like, all right, you got to walk. Like, you can only pay a player like that so much money if you're trying to build a team around him. I'm not saying Jordan Riley isn't integral to the team's success, but like, you also, if you only have a limited budget, you've got to make a fiscal responsible decision. And so that's a choice Jordan Riley and Coach Schwartz and all those guys are going to sit down and come up with a discussion. How much money do you think you're worth? Here's what we can pay you. Here's how we can make your game better next year. I'm sure those things will go on. But this is college basketball now. There's going to be free agency every year, and this year to year, it's very much a question. But he does have a year of eligibility left, and I know he really enjoyed playing at ECU this year.
Yeah, I think he liked the culture. From what I understand, from Darren and Grady, he got along really good with the guys. But I'm with you. Look, he probably, we've got X amount of dollars to spend. Now, what that X is, I'll be honest with you, Igo and I do not know right now. We were talking about with Hank before the show. We don't know what that exact number is. with that being said, I think Jordan Riley, if this team wants to be successful, can very much be your third highest paid player. So, if we got X, right, we're going to pay player 1 Y, we're going to play player 2 Z and play him whatever, Q. And he can be number 3. And that's the situation you have to be in now. Could he go be somebody else's number 3 and get paid more? Maybe. Maybe people are content doing that. And if that's what he decides to do, that's what he decides to do. So I think it's going to be tough to keep him. Like you said, he's not really a true creator. He seems like a guy that would thrive a lot in the Princeton-style offense. Those kind of those backdoor cuts when the floor's really opened up. But ECU doesn't really play that style. I mean, obviously this year you didn't really have a true 5 in the game, so you could open the floor a little more, but still with not being a great three-point shooting team, there wasn't as much of that. There wasn't much of that. There was always some sort of clog in the lane. So this year's team, I don't even think was the best fit in the world for Jordan Riley. Not saying he wasn't successful, not saying we did not utilize him, but I think he could even be in a situation, especially offensively, where he could even be a better fit. Now, could we create a team around Jordan Riley? I don't know if he's a good enough player where you can say he's our number 1, we're going to go create around him. But if you can find other guys that are his style and still find maybe an A-list player and a B-list player, and he kind of have him, like I said, as your number 3, then maybe he can even jump up in his level of success. But, again, you're going to have to change a little bit of your offensive philosophy. Is that something Coach Schwartz wants to do? I don't know, but I will tell you, in this era of college basketball, I do think you have to at least change a little bit of your X's and O's style every year based off the roster, because you don't really construct rosters throughout a 4-year span. You just kind of throw a roster together each offseason.
No doubt. And look, if you had unlimited money, this wouldn't be a discussion. You'd pay Jordan Riley whatever he wants to keep him happy. He's one of your best defensive players. He's averaging 14.5 points a game. He's averaging 6 rebounds per game. And, it'd be an easy decision. But ECU, you only have so much money. So, all these things have to come into account. Really good free throw shooter, 72%, 24% from three-point range, and just not a three-point shooter, not a guy who stretches the floor. But, again, really good at what he does. So, all those things come into consideration. I think it's one of the more fascinating decisions ECU has to make this offseason, because I think Jordan Riley wants to be here, and I think ECU wants him here. It's just what, realistically, look, this is free agency. What does that number end up being? That has to play a role. All right, Garrett Gilgo says, I know it's early. What do y'all think the basketball non-conference schedule will look like for the 2025-26 season? That's another good question. I have heard that East Carolina, they'll still have some bye games, like when they pay teams like Gardner-Webb and North Alabama and others, which they didn't lose to come in and play them, because you need some wins. But I think you're going to see less of those bye games and more road games, because here's the deal. You're going to have to put, let's say you paid North Alabama $95,000. All right, they come here and they beat you. That's $95,000 you could take with the new revenue share and put it into that and put it towards a player in theory, and then go on the road to a North Carolina or a Duke, play a bye game. They pay you. That's more money you can put in the revenue share. So there is a balancing act there. You don't want to go out and play 10 bye games on the road, because then your record's going to be horrible. Your guys are going to be beat up. But I think we're going to see less easy games at home. There will still be some. And I think you'll see a more concerted effort to do some home and homes with regional schools. But I think they're going to take as much money as possible and reshape it into revenue share so they can pay players, Philip. And two, they need to make the schedule more difficult as well.
Yeah, they do. So obviously you're going to have your regional matchups, right? So I'm not sure what the deal is with UNC Wilmington.
So that's a home and home yearly now, so they'll be back at UNCW.
Okay, they will.
Year.
So because I know this past year was the 3rd year of a 3-year deal. So we'll go to Wilmington.
They extended it, yep.
I would guess they would go to George Mason. Over the last few years, we have kind of alternated with them. I think both teams like that series. I do not have any inside information on whether or not that is a deal, but it would not surprise me to see us go to George Mason. So you're definitely going to have those. You're going to have some bye games for local teams, right? Whether it's Campbell, I don't know,
Elon.
Gardner-Webb, Elon, something like that. A couple of those teams are going to come in here. But, yeah, it sounds like that home and home is a little more of a thing, and obviously, it's going to be tough. And we're talking about this, and this is just the way it is, and it's stupid, but no one in ECU's administration can fix this. We fly soccer, volleyball, softball, baseball, sorry, as much as we think it makes money, it doesn't, to Wichita, Tulsa, North Texas, Rice. When you're doing all that, there's not a lot of money to go around in the athletic budget, so there's only so many bye games you could play or that you can host, and you're going to have to go on the road and play some bye games. So there may be a little less opportunities to see your favorite Pirates inside Minges Coliseum, but also there's going to be some opportunities to go out there and get maybe your brand out there and put on television, because let's be honest, if you go to Duke or you go to North Carolina, usually all their out-of-conference games are at least on ESPN2, if nothing else. So maybe it would end up on the ACC network, but at the end of the day, you're going to be nationally televised. It's not just going to be ESPN+. So there's going to be some perks to going to those universities as well.
No doubt. And there's talk of a game such as at an ACC Power in-state, not official yet, for next season. We'll see how that unfolds. And Johnny Robertson adding Jordan Riley is just 20 points short of scoring 500 points. So, yeah, I mean, really good player. It would be great to have him back. I hope it works out because he's a lot of fun to watch. John Moody says there's no reason why we don't play a home-and-home with Campbell and ODU every single year. Yeah, I agree. Like, Campbell, ODU, even App State at this point, their basketball program has improved. Try to get James Madison back on the schedule. I know they played recently. There's enough regional teams to do home-and-homes with in addition to some hopeful bye games on the road the Pirates can get to get some money coming in.
I know we get a quick break. I'm just going to say, I've always said that. Look, I know we want to see different teams come in, but I'm not opposed to little, like, almost friendly rivalries, which I know is kind of an oxymoron, but why can't, and I'm just generic here, and not even basketball in general, but we do it in baseball. Cliff does a very good job scheduling baseball, or Coach Palumbo, I guess, of like just, okay, 1 year you come here, 1 year we go there. We play every single year. It's not football where you only get 4 out-of-conference games. Why not play, like you said, Campbell, George Mason, ODU? It's an easy drive to Norfolk. We'll go up there. I mean, especially if it's on – if really think you get on like a Friday night, find a way to do it. And I know it's hard, but like when football's on the road the next day, like somewhere way out where nobody's going to travel to it anyways, I mean, heck, we'd go up to Norfolk for a night. Why not?
Why not? I mean, I'm with you. Coastal Carolina, which I think that was on the schedule this year for a home game, and we'll see if ECU can get some more home and homes with some regional teams going forward. All right, we got to get a break in. When we come back, the return of Joseph Samson. I know the people have been waiting. We'll get him. He's standing by, and we'll hear from him. He's waiting for his moment. He'll be back, and we'll talk some ECU baseball as well. Pirates 5-0. Are they back? We'll get Joe and Philip's take on the other side. This is Hoist the Colors.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast, Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina. Southern Living's best small town.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked to order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human. About creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
Here there, big pirates. Back to Hoist the Colors with Steve and I go. How good is this? On 94.3 The Game.
Hoist the Colors on a Monday. We're talking about basketball scheduling in general. Philip and I were talking about how ECU and Wake Forest just don't play each other in a lot of sports. We saw them match up in the Greenville Regional last year, which was fun. I want to say the last time ECU and Wake, I know for sure the last time in Minges, I looked it up during the break. There was a home-and-home or a 2-for-1 in 2008. Wake Forest came into Greenville and won 95-54. Al Farouk Aminu and Jeff Teague were on that team along with L.D. Williams. That game, Philip, it was 41-37 Wake Forest at halftime. Wake Forest was 11-0 at the time, by the way. Wake outscored ECU 54-17 in the second half.
Ouch.
I would say they turned it on. So that was a game that I remember being at because there was a buzz in the building for Minges Coliseum. But, yeah, the second half definitely got away. Anyways, just to walk down memory lane there. Speaking of memory lane, there he is. He is Joe Samson. He has joined us. Joe, welcome back into the show. How's it going?
It's great. I love that we bring me back right as the NCAA does something boneheaded once again, and I get to complain about it. It's a wonderful time of the year.
That is very true. And I just saw a headline that West Virginia Governor Patrick Morrisey is holding a press conference at 1 o'clock to announce he will be pursuing legal action against the NCAA tournament for not placing the West Virginia men's basketball team in the NCAA tournament.
Oh, my goodness. Don't lose to Colorado.
Perfect timing.
He says that he referred to the NCAA as the National Corrupt Athletic Association.
We already knew
that's
that.
A good one. That's a new one.
But like for a governor to do this, I mean, first off, does anybody lose to the NCAA in court? So this is going to set a whole new precedent, Philip. Now we're Now we're gonna have like legal action taken anytime an at-large team is snubbed.
And now Governor Ron DeSantis will go back and sue the College Football Playoff Committee for what happened 2 years ago with the Florida State Seminoles.
Ben will do the same.
That's probably that's probably what's going to happen, sadly. John Moody adds Wake Forest was #1 nationally that night. They rolled into Minges.
Did they really?
That's John Moody is never wrong.
So?
Yeah.
So Wake's been #1 in basketball ever.
They were really good that year. I know. But yeah, maybe Wake can get back on the schedule. Maybe ECU can play an ACC team next year in hoops. We're hearing good things about that. Joe Samson, before we get into the NCAA tournament, you don't have to expand on this answer. I just want to know, is ECU baseball back after a 5-0 week?
Well, you know exactly what I said to you guys 5 games ago. As I said, I don't think the lineup construction's working. They just don't seem to get hits with runners in scoring position. They didn't look like Cliff Ball. I thought it was very telling that he wasn't at third base so far this year, considering what he thought he needed to be in the dugout for the player-led and the coach-led portions of the season. I'm sorry. They're hitting again. As I've said, Colby Wallace, a.k.a. Shohei Ohtani, is back and doing what he needs to do. Shades of Zach Agnos. Shout out to the Hartford Yard Goats and Zach Agnos, who's still in spring training for the Rockies. And they look like they're back. They look like they're a team that needs to do it. There are still some holes that need to be filled. Obviously, the left field issue has been a conversation for a while now. And you don't have a consistent guy that's going to play there every day, and you know who you're slotting in, the roster. You don't necessarily know what pitcher's coming in at what point besides Ethan Norby, who has been phenomenal so far. We knew that going into this year. We just didn't know how good he'd be so fast. So I want to say they're back. I do, but also they're back with an asterisk because there's still pieces to grow through.
Yeah, I'm with you. I want to see more, and this schedule, look, I referred to last week as a get-right week, and the Pirates got right. I still don't know if I learned a whole lot about the team because what I did learn is VCU and William & Mary are two of the worst college baseball teams.
Terrible.
Specifically, William & Mary pitching, and I feel bad for former ECU pitcher Brad Mincy. I think he had to take a mound visit in the first inning with nobody out in all 3 games as their pitching coach, but it was not pretty. They can hit. Their top of the order is legit, but I don't know, Philip, like it is encouraging that the Pirates went out, they scored 12 runs, they scored 11 runs, they scored 12 runs, they scored 19, they scored 9. Like, they got right at the plate. I still want to see more, but we do know ECU can handle competition they should handle.
They can. They also got walked a lot at the plate.
Yes.
You know, those 2 VCU games, you had 30 free passes. There was a time on the first game Saturday we had scored 17 runs and I had 8 hits. So did they get right at the plate? I don't know. They got disciplined at the plate. That's a good thing. We're not swinging in uncompetitive pitches, so I'll take that. But, you know, look, I think it's all about how you respond. And I said it going into last week. Like, you want to see them play well and build confidence so they can then beat good baseball teams. You're right. We took care of bad baseball teams. That's great. You don't want to not take care of bad baseball teams. Wilmington's a pretty good baseball team. Memphis is in your conference. That's who we're playing this weekend, right? I think it's Memphis.
It is Memphis.
Okay.
They just took 2 out of 3 from Lindenwood.
Didn't even know they were D1. Actually, I did, but they're new to D1.
They're new to D1, yeah.
Yeah. So let's go out there and now show that we've grown. You showed that you had potential to grow. You did what you were supposed to do. Now go out there and play real baseball teams, a team in your conference, and a team who is a threat at least to make a regional every year, and show me that you learned. Show me that you grew.
Let's see it, Pirates. Last week was Get Right week. This is Show Me week for Philip Pilkington. Pirates will try to get it done again. Wilmington in Segra Stadium Tuesday, in Fayetteville, and then Memphis at home to begin conference play. We will have Alex Boucher on the show tomorrow, ECU shortstop. So we recorded that today. He was nice enough to stop by. Obviously, he'll be on the road tomorrow, so we'll have that. So tune in tomorrow for more baseball talk. Philip and I will talk a little more baseball tomorrow. All right, guys, let's get into this NCAA discussion a little bit. We hinted at it, North Carolina getting into the field of 68. I still want to say field of 64, but whatever. The field of 68.
Dance.
I guess that the dance is the better way to go. The committee chair, who, by the way, is also the North Carolina athletic director,
just coincidental,
did say that if UAB would have won, that North Carolina would have been out of the tournament. I don't know if I believe that, but either way, they were the last team in. Joe, is there any argument for UNC getting in over West Virginia or other schools? Like, are you buying this?
I don't. My brother reminded me last night that UNC had the best resume of the last 8 teams on the bubble, and that's a good point. But they're also 1-12 in Q1 games, and that is exactly what you're going to face all of March. That is what you're going to see, especially considering the bracket that they wound up in. I just don't understand how you leave out West Virginia. If you don't lose to Colorado, and that's another thing with the expansion now of the Big 12, which is really the Big 18, at what point are you going to try and limit these teams to having play-ins or to forcing certain seeds to make these because you're upsetting possible financial implications for your conference? And you see legal action now being threatened from the West Virginia governor. There's a sentence I didn't think we'd have until 2025. It's interesting. They were 36th in the Tom Palm ranking, and then they were 33rd, I think, or 36th in net ranking also. So they're in the top 50. They're a team that, by the metrics, deserves to be in the tournament. I just don't think they pass the eye test. They're not a good basketball team. They don't get back in transition. They shoot too many threes. They have nobody underneath in the post play. They do not know how to run in transition. It's infuriating to watch them. I've watched 2 games of UNC this season. That wasn't the Duke game. I turned it off in the first 8 minutes. They don't slide on defense. There's no rotation. They don't have a point guard that can bring the ball up. They're not a good basketball team. But shout out to Bubba, giving them another gift.
At what point do we stop? And look, ECU has John Gilbert on the NCAA baseball selection committee, and I'm I mean, let's be real. I'm sure that played at least a small role, even though it's not in last year ECU getting a hosting bid. I mean, maybe I'm dead wrong, but like, if you look at the history of a person being on the committee tied to a team, it typically goes in favor of the team. Like, at what point do we stop putting ADs with vested interest on the committees, Philip? Because, like, clearly you're going to have human feelings getting in the way of making these picks.
You are. And, you never know who's going to be on the bubble. That's the thing. But, we were talking about it before the show. What if you just put really small mid-majors ADs on these teams who are going to be in one-bid leagues anyways? You could do that, but I didn't even think about this. I don't know how I didn't. So I'm going to give a shout-out to Jana, our director of payroll and all that. She came up with a great mindset. She goes, I understand the Bubba thing, but what about the TV thing? You can't tell me that Paramount Sports wouldn't much rather have North Carolina playing on Tuesday night than West Virginia, Indiana, or Ohio State. Now, there are a few basketball purists. Well, most of the basketball purists are going to tune in regardless. There's a small portion of people that would have tuned in for Indiana and not any of the others, but there's even more that would tune in for North Carolina. And the only people that are tuning in for West Virginia and Ohio State are West Virginia and Ohio State fans because they are not relevant in the grand scheme of college basketball the way Indiana and North Carolina is. And I cannot even remember who said this. There was somebody, it was one of the announcers at like one of the random tournaments on Friday, said Carolina is getting in. Tiebreaker goes to the Blue Blood. Here we are.
TV.
That's a good point.
Never underestimate the power of TV in politics.
Money.
And money.
And
money is
Mike
often,
Woodson's not even the head coach of Indiana anymore. I wonder if that played a role in it either.
Yeah, I mean.
Good.
Didn't have a head coach. They were minus 3,500 to get into the tournament.
Yeah. Carolina, dude, they have 8 quad 2 wins. None of those quad 2 teams made the tournament. They have 1 win against the team who made the tournament. And UCLA is not good. UCLA is 100% losing to Utah State.
You know what this all sets up, though?
Instant.
UNC is definitely going to make a run to at least
Oh,
Sweet
they
16.
100%.
I mean, it always happens this way that the last team in.
Unfortunately, I think it's the Elite Eight.
You think they beat Auburn?
I think they beat Auburn. I was not impressed by Auburn in the SEC tournament.
Oh, fair enough. But I was impressed by Virginia a couple of years ago in the ACC tournament when they lost in the first round and were laughing about it in the locker room. And then
UMBC.
ran through. No, it was the year after the UMBC thing, and then they just ran through the NCAA tournament.
That's true.
Speaking of that, Brady Thomas did send me, a Hoist the Colors intern, a very interesting graphic about number 1 seeds that have flailed down the stretch that I want to share after this break. So I'll tell you what, we'll get a break in. This will directly tie into Auburn struggling here down the stretch. We'll talk about some of our favorite matchups, and if any of us have filled out a bracket yet, spoiler alert, I have. And if it's correct, Philip will be very happy. We'll discuss that on the other side. This is Hoist the Colors.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Looking for a great deal on a new Nissan?
At Greenville Nissan, we've got a great selection of new Nissans for under $30,000.
The stylish Nissan Sentra, offering top-notch fuel economy. The Nissan Altima, known for its comfort and technology.
The Nissan Kicks, the perfect combination with its compact design and performance. The Nissan Versa, delivering incredible value without compromising on features. And don't forget the Nissan Rogue, an award winner for 10 years in a row. Drive it home just for $22 down and $349 a month.
Visit GreenvilleNissan.com today.
Greenville Nissan, where we drive to serve.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in color. and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked to order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Pirate fans, 2025 East Carolina football season tickets are on sale now and can be purchased for as little as $115. Head coach Blake Harrell wants you to be a part of his first full season as the Pirate coach as he builds momentum off of the 8-win season and the Military Bowl win over North Carolina State. Call 1-800-DIAL-ECU or go to ECUPirates.com today to get your 2025 season tickets.
Hoist the Colors with Steve and Igo.
Drink up for me, Ozzy Yo-Ho.
On 94.3 The Game.
Back into the show. Hoist the Colors on a Monday. We're talking March Madness. We talk ECU basketball, baseball earlier again. We'll be joined by Alex Boucher, ECU shortstop, tomorrow in studio. We'll air that as the team gets ready to take on UNC Wilmington, so tune in tomorrow for baseball talk. Philip Pilkington is behind the glass producing. Joe Samson is back on this Monday. Guys, I referenced, as we'll continue on with our March Madness talk, we'll get into the bracket a little bit. I thought this was just interesting. Brady Thomas sent it to me. This is a tweet from Ryan Hammer, who says, high seeds entering the NCAA tournament on cold streaks in the last few years have pretty consistently fallen short of their standards / expectations. So these are teams that basically finished with 3 or 4 losses in the last 8 or 9 games. Auburn falls into this category. They started 27-2, finished 1-3 down the stretch. They are a 1 seed. These are all 1s and 2 seeds. In previous years, teams in a similar category, you had Marquette in 2024, which reached the Sweet 16. 2023, Purdue finished 7-4. They lost in the first round. 2023, Kansas finished 2-2, lost in the round of 32. 2022, Kentucky finished 5-3 as a 2 seed. They lost in the first round. 2022, Auburn finished 5-4 after a 22-1 start. They were a 2 seed, lost in the round of 32. In 2021, Ohio State started 18-4. Finished 3-5, lost in the first round. 2021, Michigan was the only team that was a 1 seed that made it past the Sweet 16. They made it to the Elite 8, started 18-1, finished 2-3. So just something to keep an eye on there, as Auburn could potentially get Louisville, which Louisville in the second round as an 8. Look, they got to beat Creighton first, but I already have Louisville going to the Elite 8. Maybe I'm too high on the Birds. But I don't know. What do y'all think about Louisville potentially taking out Auburn?
And I want you to, if you build, I want Joe to go. And Joe, if you have Louisville taking out Auburn, you're predicting a Louisville-Carolina matchup. So please elaborate more on that as well. If you do pick Louisville.
Yeah, I do have Louisville over Auburn. It's an early one, but I just think that Louisville's been too good of a team defensively this year. It's been absurd. If you watch them when they played Duke, it was its own type of thing. They swap really well. They play a lot of zone. It's the former Charleston coach from last year who took his own team deep in the tournament. He knows how to build a roster and play with the roster he's given. I just like them a lot better. I think Bruce Pearl's antics this year has been a lot. It's been a lot of distraction as well for Auburn. Early this season, you have 2 players that get a plane sent back, and then they play the next 2 games. It screams that they're too worried about everybody watching them as opposed to what's going on internally in the program. And then UNC set for a run. We know it. They're set up for it. I do like UNC over Louisville in the small factor of the most dangerous team to play, especially in March, is a team with nothing to lose. And I think if UNC gets to that point, you're already on fire, you're hitting threes, and you're playing what you deem to be good basketball. And I just don't know if Louisville has the talent to match.
Man, could you imagine UNC over Louisville to send them to the Final Four?
No,
I
they'd
can't
be in
imagine
the
it.
Elite Eight.
Oh,
Wouldn't it?
They'd be the Elite Eight, yeah.
They would play in the Sweet 16.
Okay.
No,
you're
they'd
right.
play 16 to go to Elite Eight, yeah.
Yeah.
No, but its own thing. Can you imagine if that's the path to get UNC to the Final Four when we're over here talking
Actually,
about
it would
Davis's
be
buyout?
It would be the Elite Eight matchup.
Oh, you're right. It would
Yeah.
be. Yeah, it would be. Wow.
Crazy.
It means Carolina would have to beat Michigan State potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a
but
clash
Izzo
of
is
some blue bloods.
Izzo never seems to live up to expectations.
No, that's the thing. Yeah, Michigan State, when they're like a 6 or a 7 seed, watch out. When they're a 2,
they're too high.
A couple years ago, them and Duke met up in the Elite Eight. One of them was a 1, one was a 2, and Sparty won.
Cassius Stanley, right?
Yeah, it was
2019. The year before COVID.
Yeah.
I'm very
That was
much
the Barrett and Zion game.
I'm very much torn, guys, because every year I pick Houston or Tennessee to win the championship because I'm like, all right, Kelvin Samson and Rick Barnes eventually are going to get it done, and this year they're good once
again. The
again.
Midwest bracket is the most least competitive out of tier teams in the entirety of the slate. They're all up and down, just like a thumbs in the middle or a thumbs down. They're not good on that side. I don't know who's coming out of the Midwest, but they're not going to win the tournament.
Well, now, yeah, you got Houston and Tennessee there, so I'm obligated to pick one.
And
I have
Illinois is there too. Purdue,
Yeah.
I think.
even Gonzaga's the eighth.
Clemson.
Gonzaga's there.
McNeese or High Point in the Final Four. Winner of that second round game makes the Final Four of that bracket.
That
McNeese
is
a good
going to be a
basketball
fun
team.
one.
They were last year.
So here's the thing.
Well,
I go. You pick Tennessee or Houston every year and expecting a different result. What is the definition of insanity?
That's why I'm picking
Being a
somebody else
Jets
this year. That is true as well.
So I'm the only one not insane on here?
You are 100%
No, you just
not
watched Brad
insane.
Marchand roll into a Panther.
Okay. Yeah, let's save that for.
No, there's no insanity.
So I did fill out a bracket. I took Philip's advice, which Philip hasn't even done his own bracket yet.
I did it right before we interviewed Alex.
So Philip kind of threw out a good idea. Like I usually take my time. This year I'm following the Philip model of doing just like a quick run through, zero research, gut feel. And I have Duke over Florida in the championship. The thing that scares me about Florida, and typically this is also going against what I usually do. I usually steer away from teams that win the conference tournament because I feel like it's just like it's hard to continue to play that well over such a long period of time. And it seems to take a lot out of teams. But Duke didn't even have its best player, obviously, and could get another player back down the line. And I think Florida's just that good. Now, Florida has a gauntlet of a region, which we can get into. But what are y'all's thoughts on Duke over Florida? Plausible, Philip?
Yeah, tough thing is Duke's going to have to be better defensively than they've been over the last couple games. Getting Malik Brown back would be a huge plus. Teams are trying to put Kuman Malawach in high ball screens, and he cannot guard the one. Malik Brown can. Now, what Duke can do a good job of is when that ball screen happens, they will then double team the ball handler, and it works as long as the primary defender is taller than the ball handler, which with Duke's shortest player being 6'5", usually that works out okay. It gives Malawach time to then retreat. It's not going to work every time, and it could get ugly for Duke, especially if they play a team who can do that as well as shoot the ball really well, like an Alabama, who they would see in the Elite Eight. Now, Bama is not playing great basketball right now, so going back to that stat that Brady sent you, would Bama even be in the Elite Eight to play Duke? Of course, Duke's got to get to the Elite Eight as well. They'd have to potentially beat Arizona, a team that they have already beaten this year. We know how tough it is to beat two teams in one, or a team twice in the same season. Duke did not look like a national championship caliber team in the ACC tournament, and that was not just the Cooper flag wasn't there junk that everybody's trying to paint. I mean, I've never seen so much media coverage over a sprained ankle. We're treating him like he's Joe Theismann here. There was a lot more.
You did say it was over when he got hurt on the air.
I said it was over because Malik Brown was already injured. I mean,
Kevin Ware's knee had his bone stick out, and there was less media coverage.
But without him and Malik Brown, Brown, I think, is an undervalued player in this Duke team. Duke is so good defensively, and if you don't have Mason Gillis and you don't have Malik Brown, there's a lot of things that you become vulnerable with, even though those guys don't play 30, 35 minutes a game. It's their presence on the floor, and the fact that Malik Brown's there, Duke has 3 guys who can play the 5 and makes you not even have to worry about foul trouble because you're so deep at the center position.
So do you have a Final Four from your initial bracket?
Okay, so just real quick, because what Igo and I were doing, I always do one where it's right after the bracket, just click, just gut feeling, and then I do one on Thursday morning where I really think about it. So this is my kind of fun one, 3. I would say. Yeah. Oh, I also do one where I flip a coin. Hot team's heads, bottom team's tails. Yeah.
With my head, and then one with my heart. The heart one, I want St. John's to win it all. I just want Rick Pitino to stick a nice middle finger to everybody who thought he still couldn't coach. I would love to see it happen. The world is better when Rick Pitino is coaching a basketball team and winning games.
Fair enough.
It's just a fact.
Yeah. No, it is. It is. So my Final Four, my original was that. Yeah. My Final Four on my gut feel was Alabama against Houston, Auburn against Florida, and then Florida over Houston.
That would make for an exciting
but I will say this will not be my normal bracket. I had all the 1s and 2s in the Elite 8. I also had like every 12 beating a 5. So,
what about you, Joe? Do you have yours, or have you
the Midwest is so hard for me. Florida for sure is in it. I really, really like St. John's, and that's not just over hype or like being overzealous about it. I think they're a really good basketball team. And I think considering all the stuff that they've gone through, normally if it's a St. John's or a Big East team like that, who'd you play? The Big East this year had 6 teams in the Big East tournament. All 6 are in the dance. It's insane.
Wait, what are you talking about?
Well, the top 16.
The top 1 through 6.
All of the top 6 in the Big East tournament. Yeah, sorry guys, gotta knock some rust off. Don't worry about it. I like Kentucky out of the Midwest, which is gross for me to say. I'm actually throwing up saying that, but it's just a terrible.
Plausible,
in my opinion, it's the worst as far as level of talent in the entirety of the bracket is the Midwest, I think, for sure.
And Mark Pope's a better coach than Calipari, though, so he could coach their way there.
Agreed. And I think that's been the difference this year. Is normally Calipari's talent carried him, and that's why you saw him struggle at Arkansas this year. I think Pope is a much better coach, and I agree with that. And then, like we said, I have Louisville going to the Final Four out of the East.
So you haven't beaten the Tar Heels in the Elite 8?
I haven't beaten the Tar Heels in the Elite 8 because I just don't think – I think if you get to that point, there's a conversation to be had, but I think Louisville's the better coach team. And what they did against
Nobody
Duke,
in the world still has an ACC bias except for Joey Football. Look at this, man. This is a like 10 years ago NCAA tournament bracket. We've got ACC teams who've got no business in the Final Four making it because Syracuse is going to make it as 11. I love your ACC bias, Joey Football. That's how college basketball is supposed to be played, with the ACC as the greatest conference in the world.
Okay, let's reel that one in. It's the SEC based on top to bottom, but that's not the point. 2, Louisville has a coach who's done it before with worse players who can do it now with good players. If Cooper Flagg is not in a Duke uniform this year, Louisville might have won the ACC tournament and been like a top 5 team. As far as a 5, or it could have been a 6 seed at the highest. They are a good basketball team. I don't know why people don't think they are. They're a very good basketball team. The ACC is not what it has been in the past. There's no Virginia letting teams only score 48 points and they win 51-48. And the shot clock violations are through the roof because I hate watching that kind of basketball. But Louisville plays old school, pass the rock, take the open man, drive down to the post, kick it out to the wing, and shoot the mid-range shot. They are not doing what UNC does, coming down and shooting 48 threes a game. And that's why I like Louisville.
Hey, ACC looked pretty good in last year's tournament. So
just standing by.
Put it that way.
So did the College of Charleston.
Yeah. All right, we'll get a break in. We'll come back. We will wrap up the show, and we will ask Joey Football about Justin Fields. We got to do that. We also have a few more questions we got to get to wrap things up. This is Hoist the Colors.
It's time to bring on the savings at Greenville Toyota with huge discounts on over 125 new Toyotas, like a Camry, $269 a month, or RAV4, $339 a month. Now bring yourself to Greenville Toyota and save.
The team of Flatlands Jessup is working overtime to help ensure that Eastern North Carolinians like you get the health insurance help you need this open enrollment period. New legislation passed meaning more people than ever qualify for affordable coverage. Let us help you today.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Everybody loves tiebreakers.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
Tired of the 1-800 numbers advertising Medicare products? Flatlands Jessup has 6 offices all throughout Eastern North Carolina. Get face-to-face help from our local award-winning licensed team. Stop by today. Flatlands Jessup, your whole world covered.
Your roof is a vital part of protecting your home and family from dangerous storms and hurricanes. At Assist Roofing, we install and maintain metal roofing that provides precise protection. Add value to your home while lowering utility costs with a fortified roof to last a lifetime. With 0% financing, grants, and Energy Star Green Roofing tax credit available. Call us to schedule a free consultation so you can weather any storm with confidence.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Get ready, because it's time to bring on the savings at Greenville Toyota. Get huge discounts on over 125 new Toyotas, like a Corolla, $239 a month, or Tacoma, $349 a month. Bring on the savings today at Greenville Toyota.
What's happening?
Tell me what's happening. Every ECU fan's one stop for all things ECU athletics. This is Hoist the Colors with Steve and I Go on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in Hoist the Colors. Final segment here. Joe Samson with us. His return has been as epic as you could have imagined. Philip Pilkington also with us on this Monday. We're talking NCAA tournament. We may hit on that depending on how long Joe takes to answer this. But are the New York Jets any better right now than when the season ended to conclude last year? If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. I understand what you're asking. The answer is yes. The problem is people are going to look at the receiver room and go, you lost a Hall of Famer in Devontae Adams. You lost possibly the most talented quarterback to ever live in Aaron Rodgers. Well, here's the thing. Your head coach got fired in week 4. You weren't going to maintain whatever the regime was prior to that in any capacity. Thank God Greg the Leg wasn't publicly executed in Secaucus, New Jersey. I thought that's where it was headed because it was bad. Aaron Glenn and Darren Moogie are going to hang their hats on the fact that the coaching staff is good enough to get the best out of these high upside players. The ceiling for Justin Fields is top 10 in the league. To be one of those guys that you circle on the schedule and go, we need to make sure we're in the film room and we know what he's going to do, because the connection he has with Wilson and their ability to run the ball with Breece Hall and Braylon Allen is going to be something that takes away the attention of a defense. I don't think you had that last year with Rodgers. I just don't think the levels of the dimension that made his game so important were what they needed to be. I really like Tanner Eggstrad, especially as an offensive coordinator. He's done a great job getting those types of opportunities. Yes, Ben Johnson's calling the plays, but he did a great job at getting Goff to see the full side of the field, at getting the tight ends involved, getting Sam Laporta to be Sam Laporta. I expect something similar with Jeremy Ruckert as well, and Zach Kuntz, who came out of ODU, who we had the opportunity of playing when I was at ECU. I think the offense is going to look completely different. Now, Operation Fat. which means they're finally signing defensive players that are over a BMI of 27 so that we can stop the run. That's what I'm excited about. Sauce Gardner's going to get $31 million. That hurts to say out loud, but it is what it is. I also need to clarify, I can no longer take... That's right. There it is. I can no longer take Duke in the Final Four after actually looking at the bracket once again. It's going to be St. Mary's. It's going to be St. Mary's out of that side.
What
That's
a
just how
transition,
it's gonna be.
Jets to St. Mary's over Duke.
I know. I just had, because we're talking about teams that have lofty expectations and teams that shouldn't be as good as they are.
So the Jets went 5-12 last year. If I'm setting the over/under win total at 5.5, what do you take?
I'm over. I think 7 and 10.
I have no idea what your opponents look like.
We got about
I
a
think
minute
the
left.
NFC South. We mirror the NFC South.
That's a few wins.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because we got the Bills at home. I'm looking forward to seeing Josh out. Yeah, you'll beat half of us at least.
Yeah.
Newton Smith says, thanks for finally talking to ECU baseball. Since they played 2 games in Game 7 and 8 innings, we saw Parker Bird make some magic with his first hit. He also says the basketball team lost. It's time to move on. So he is ready to move on from Pirate basketball. Kenny Curlins is not. He says, are there any other tournaments that the Pirates could play in? There are, but the Pirates will not be playing in them, Kenny. The NIT is full. The CBI is full. The college basketball crown is full. And so ECU season has come to an end. And we'll see what the next...
I can't produce 5 days in a row again until 1 a.m., so thank gosh.
It's over.
I'm sorry, but
we'll see
I'm
what
done.
next year's team holds. All right, Joe,
Until the
appreciate
next
the time, man, and we'll get you back on soon. It was good to
Thanks,
catch
guys.
up.
Glad to be here.
Absolutely, Joe, always providing the entertainment and the energy. Thanks again to Philip Pilkington for putting it all together behind the scenes and offering great insight as well. We'll be back tomorrow, 12 noon. Again, we'll have ECU shortstop Alex Boucher in studio ahead of the UNC Wilmington game. We'll also talk more about the tournament, more about baseball. We'll see you then, 12 noon on Tuesday.
This has been Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo. Tune in weekdays at noon for all things ECU sports. Get a recap of the show at 943thegame.com, on Twitter.